Hey, how's it going, everyone? Just back again with another lesson. It should be relatively quick. I just want to do this based on a catchy title that I thought of, and then some numerology. And but it's timely. It's something that we need to hear. It's centered around the verses that talk about, those who try and save their life will lose it, and then those who lose their life shall preserve it. And so, I'll read a few references of those in the Gospels, and then talk about the numerology. But I want people to understand. That we have a responsibility to do our part. We do not have free will like God has free will, but He's given us some. And I would say the amount that He's given us, our responsibility is to understand where we are, and that's really all we can assess, And so God cannot help us or save us unless we know where we are. Again, a lot of the things in the Bible are deep, and heavy, but God is very practical too. Like, imagine if you pick up the phone and call somebody, hey, I need a ride, come pick me up. And then they're like, well, where are you? And you're like, I don't know. And they're like, okay, well, can't really help you there, that kind of thing. And then somebody who has a bit more patience, which God does, he's like, okay, if you don't quite know, like, describe what's going on around you. I'll be able to figure it out. And then, you can just start describing things, and that kind of thing to help sort of narrow it down where you are, that kind of thing. So what's the weather like? Is there anything unique about the weather, buildings, street signs, whatever, and so that kind of thing. So that's what God's people are doing, and then have always been doing, is that they may not necessarily know theologically that they're in hell, which, I know now, according to the Bible and then in real life, but they're describing what they're seeing to God. The souls of the just complain continually. And so they're constantly in communication with God. Okay, this is what I see. And so just know that. So that's the amount of, quote, free will we have, is to exercise that amount, to do that always. And God's people always do that. And so just know that. And so that's our responsibility. And so if you're a person who's like, it's not that bad, I can hang around here for a little while longer and stuff like that, then that's your God, who's then going to like, okay, well then you got a little bit more time, and that kind of thing. So, there's no reason for me to like really, view anything that you say as urgent or anything like that. So just know that when we're doing that, we're creating a God, is what I'm trying to say. And then I just, again, invite people to consider mine, because I am proclaiming that He will return soon, because the severity of the complaints, and then my desire, and I think a lot of our desire, to not be here. And so just know that. And so we know now, a group of us, that we're in hell. And so we don't need it to get more hellish, and it's not going to change, because we know now it's been like this from the beginning. And so that's why the people that come by my channel and say 10 or 15 years, even say 5 years, even say much longer than the time scale that I'm saying, my God does not like them, and then I just, again, all I can do is recommend people consider the words, on my channel and what I'm saying, and then that kind of thing. But I am living and complaining to God based now on the theological truth, the biblical truth, that I'm in hell. And then I believe that because I see it, and then I see other people going through it much worse than me. So it's perfect, it's a perfect prediction and explanation of where I am. I don't have to really describe anything. God knows. Okay, I'm telling Him I'm in hell. But other people that don't know that are not necessarily into the Bible, because some of God's elect are actually blind. And so, but they're gonna be able to describe their pain, their own pain, and then what's going on around them, and that kind of thing. And so it's not required that every one of them are theological scholars, but they're going to care about other people. So they're going to be scanning the world, and then like what's going on, and then complaining to God. And so they're going to be very, very aware of that truth. And so, I just want people to know these verses that are here that I'm going to read could not be easier to fulfill in the days that we live in now. This is the incredible thing about the Bible, is that as you learn more and more of it, it becomes easier and easier to do it. And it's the same with God. When you're closer and closer in proximity to God, it's much easier to honor Him, because He's there, and then His brilliance, and His radiance and His purity just naturally comes on us. And that's what we want, with salvation, and that to happen forever. And so just know that That's the quote unquote spirit of this lesson. Luke 17:33, whosoever shall seek to save his life shall lose it. So all the people, including myself in the past, was like, yeah, I was saved on this date, whatever, 2005 or something, 2001, or the date that I probably wrote down on one of my oldest Bibles, something like that. That person is not truly saved, and then they're actually going to lose their quote unquote salvation because of that. So don't do that. Whosoever shall seek to save his life shall lose it. That means that you will not be saved, and salvation is not dying in the last days. So you forfeit your chance of that happening to you, and me as well, if I would have continued to think that. But whosoever shall lose his life shall preserve it, and that will be the group that's going to be saved. This is for God's elect. And so again, just know that this numerology, 17 is 1 times 7 is 7, plus 3 is 6. Okay, and so these verses, 1 plus 7 is 8, and then 3 plus 3 is 6, and so that's 14. Okay, so all of this stuff, these verses are not there by chance. Okay, and then it's in verse 33 because it's in the last days that this will occur. This life shall preserve it. Okay, salvation. And so really the entire Bible is speaking towards salvation, and then it's tailored for God's elect because they'll think like this, because it's built into them to think that way. Matthew 10:39, he that findeth his life shall lose it, and he that loseth his life for my sake shall find it. For God's sake. Okay, not for their own sake or a God that they made up. Okay, that we've all made up in the past. Don't do that anymore. And so that's in verse 10:39. Okay, so 1 plus 0 is 1, and then 3, 9 is 12. So 1 times 12 is 12. So this is for God's elect. So 14 and 12 are usually numbers that, you can find some reference to God's elect. And so just know that. Matthew 16:25. Okay, so if you add 1 plus 6 is 7, and 2 plus 5 is 7. So that's 14. That's God's elect. For whosoever shall lose his life, for whosoever shall save his life shall lose it, and whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it. And then, so now in 26, it talks about the reciprocal. And so Matthew 16:26, 1 times 6 is 6, 2, 6, 6, 6. So 6, 6, 6. This is what's going to happen to those people. For what is a man profited if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Question mark. Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? And so these are the people that their soul gets destroyed and gets returned back to the Most High. And they're collapsed. They're no longer in existence. And so just know that. That's for God's left-hand side after he's done with all these deceptions. Luke 9:24, 2:4, 44, God's elect. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it, but whosoever will lose his life for my sake, the same shall save it. So everything is about salvation. Everything is about God's elect. And then everything is about giving up on this life, because this life here is death. That is the meaning of life. Okay, the meaning of life is the meaning of life. This was like my title, and so it's to find the meaning of life. That's the meaning of life. And then the few people who find it in the Bible for the real Christ's sake, they find life. Okay, they find out what the meaning of life is, and then they look around and they're like, it's not this. Okay, and it's not in our body. It's not that. We know that. Christ says he's the way, the truth, and the life. Okay, and so I'll get that verse. A very famous verse, but John 14:6. Again, there's 14. It's for God's elect. Jesus said unto them, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. We don't know where the Father is. Only Christ can take somebody to the Father. And then in order for that to happen, they have to be saved. So he has to literally take them away. And so just know that that's literal. Okay? So a group of us, people have known this throughout human history. And then we see that in the Bible, that this earth is about death. And then the Bible says death and hell are going to be cast into a lake of fire. So they're going to be terminated. So everybody with the 666 system, they're death. They're part of the death. Their bodies are going to be cast into a lake of fire. And this earth is also now death because it's been destroyed, by those people. And so we've had a part in that as well. And so the Bible says that God's going to destroy those who destroy the earth too. So it's the people and the earth itself that's going to get destroyed. And replenish, for the kingdom. And so just know that that's the meaning of life, for people who haven't figured it out. I'm pretty sure people have who come by my channel, that it's not to hang around in death longer or anything. Okay, wake up, people out there. 10, 15 years, are you kidding me? We don't want to stay here for 10 or 15 minutes. Okay, that's ridiculous. Get your head out of that. John 12:25, he that loveth his life shall lose it, and he that hateth his life in this world shall keep it unto life eternal. And so this is the thought process of God's elect. That's in verse 12:25. You had that 37, 37, 777. And so just know that. And so, this is also, you can multiply them. So you have 1 times 2 is 2. 2 plus 7 is 7. So you have 2 times 7, 14. And so, again, these verses are not there just coinky dink. Okay, I don't know. I'm pretty sure people sort of understand it as you're following, my channel. But it's amazing. James 4:14. Okay, verse 14. Whereas ye know not what shall be on the morrow, for what is your life? It is even a vapor that appeareth for a little time and then vanisheth away. And so anybody who regards their life as anything, and this is my only regret in life, and I had no choice in this, so I don't regret it, but I'm just disappointed that I actually cared about this life, even at all. But then the problem with that is that if we don't, then we wouldn't even have made it here, because then we're just like, this whole thing's stupid. So it's a judgment, and this is like a taper. So this is why God tells us things in the proper time. And so, because we couldn't handle these truths, as a young person. And so this, again, is a very, very unique time now where at least me and others, we know that we're in hell. And so either God abandons us in hell, and that's just the way it is, or it's a time to rescue us, and then he's going to rescue people down the road who don't care that they're in hell, or like they want more hell or something like that, which, again, just from my vantage point, does not make sense. And so this, again, why all these things point to the fact that Christ is going to return for the people that know that they're in hell, and then that will have to be very, very soon if I'm one of them. And so just know that. So the meaning of life is to find the meaning of life. And so I ask you, what is life? Hope everyone's doing well. Bye.